So obviously it's early in the morning. So we're going to go ahead and start because we love people who are on time, and we'll get through some of the introductory stuff quickly. And this is supposed to be a super informal event. The idea is very much just to talk about why this is important and to get everyone's ideas, because it's been kind of a slow process. So I'm going to do a quick welcome, then I'm going to hand it over to Jim Lawrence, who's the chair of the Redistricting Commission for the county, to say a few words, and then we'll hand it over to Yuhua, and we'll actually pull up some maps and start talking about what we're going to be doing. So with that, I just want to, I think all of you know what Thrive is and what we do, but we have a couple of events coming up that I just wanted to share with you because I think it might be interesting to this particular group. So on the next slide, we have our next Voter Education Outreach Advisory Committee, which is open to everyone. And this next one, we're going to have the head of the elections office for San Mateo County present kind of the results and the numbers around the turnout for the recall election. So I think that'll be really interesting. And just an hour, we'll be talking a little bit about what outreach strategies we thought worked or didn't work. But I think that the kind of data about what the turnout actually was is always interesting, especially when you break it down by subgroups and by region. So everybody's welcome to that. Next. Our Environment and Sustainability Thrive Action Group, we've been working on doing some collective climate goals because we have 150 different organizations, literally 150 in San Mateo County, that are working on different kinds of things that are related to environment and sustainability. It's very broad, and we aren't as effective as we could be if we all had some common goals. So we're working on that. The cool thing about this is we have an open document where everybody could put their ideas in, and you don't have to be in the environment and sustainability area in order to do that. So on our website, you can just, if you click on this, there's a link to the document, and you can put that, put any of your ideas in, or you can come to our event. And one more. So we are working on creating something called a VOAD, which is a volunteer organizations active in disaster. San Mateo County is one of the few counties in the Bay Area that doesn't actually already have that, a place where nonprofits work directly with each other to prepare, and with the county to facilitate communications between nonprofits that actually deliver direct services and the government during disasters. So during the off time, when there aren't disasters, there's a lot of training and creating those communication lines. And then during a disaster, obviously it gets activated. So if anybody's interested in just learning more about that, please come on November 8th. And so all of this is on our website. You can just go easily to thrivealliance.org. So end of Thrive commercial. Now we can jump in. You can just go ahead, Yuhua, and turn off the slides. Thanks to everyone who's here. Like I said, we're going to make this really informal, but I wanted to talk briefly about why Thrive is doing this. Like, how is this important to an alliance of nonprofits? And it's important to us because one of our core tenets is to make the county a better place for everyone. And at the bottom of that is policy. And policy comes from elected people, and people are elected by district. So we really want to make sure that everyone is part of the process of redistricting, that everyone understands redistricting, and that we make it as easy as possible for people to have their comments taken into consideration. And the structure actually already is great in that you can submit your comments even through social media. Like, if you tag this, the commission will actually read what you say on social media. So there are lots of different ways to do it. We'll go over it a little bit more, but one of the things I wanted to do was to just show you how easy it is to give input and how easy it is to play with the maps. So Yuhua is actually going to pull up the map thing, and we can actually do some actual drawing of maps. But before that, we are very honored to have Jim Lawrence here, who's the chair of the Redistricting Commission for the county. And he's been mayor of Foster City and just extremely active for a long time in our community. And we're thrilled that he's chair of our commission and that he's on the commission and that he just chose to join us today. So with that, I'll hand it over to Jim.
Thank you. Again, I'm Jim Lawrence. I'm glad to be here this morning and want to welcome you all. Let me say on behalf of the 15-member commission, I'd like to thank you for your interest in this very important process. It's not an overstatement to say that the commission and all of you are helping us to ensure that the fundamentals of democracy are alive and well here in San Mateo County. As you know, San Mateo County is divided into 5 districts. Each district elects a member to the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors. The work we're doing on the commission will help determine which neighborhoods and communities are grouped together in those 5 districts. Now, why is that important? One, how and where districts are drawn shape communities' ability to elect representatives of their choice. 2, districts substantially equal in population help to ensure residents have equal access to representation. And 3, revisions to the district boundaries have lasting impact. They will remain in effect for the next decade. So it's also good to remember that the Board of Supervisors are full-time elected officials who oversee a $3 billion annual budget. The budget funds programs such as social services, public health, housing, roads and infrastructure, our county parks, elections, and public safety. The Board of Supervisors also act as the primary government for residents who live in the unincorporated areas in our county. The board serves on numerous regional agencies that also set policy for transportation, environmental protection, and other important issues. So as you can see, the board is very important. It's a very important role in our county. So we look forward to hearing from all of you as you consider your community and where you might draw the lines and decide for the next decade where the district lines are. And again, I want to thank you for being here today, and I want to answer any questions that any of you may have. I'll give it to Yuhua.
All righty. Thank you, Jim. So good morning, everyone. My name is Yuhua. I'm the Policy and Advocacy Associate for Thrive Alliance. And this morning, before we get into the nitty-gritty of things, I would love an introduction of who you are, and I will post a question in the chat. And the question is, if you had a magic wand, what would be the result of redistricting? And I will go ahead and call on some people, gather your thoughts. And let's see, Pam, I would love to know, you can give an introduction, what part of the organization you are part of, and just your answer to the question.
Thank you, and good morning, and thank you, Jim. And I appreciate your work on the Redistricting Commission, and thank you, because I know that is a big piece. I belong to a number of organizations, and I started out with saying that I was a resident of Belhaven to ensure that the Belhaven community of Menlo Park had a voice wherever there was anything being discussed that had to do with county that reflected upon the city of Menlo Park. Hat I wear now is with Menlo Together. I'm a core member, meaning that I helped start the group. If I had a magic wand, it would be one in which our residents, not just citizens, but our residents participated 100% in the government process at all levels. And that we had a system in which people were well educated and had the ability to be discerning and really seek to understand all of the nuances. And I think I do have a magic wand, so we'll see.
Thank you, Pam. You can popcorn it off to someone else.
How about Marie Balisari?
Marie, are you there? Okay, pick someone else who
Already
might
there.
want to get her donut.
Marjorie Bear.
I'm sorry, I really don't have any comment.
We're doing introductions and the magic wand question. So we'd just like to introduce everyone because this is a close-knit group. We want to get.
I see. Yeah, my name is Marjorie Bear, and I'm a member of the San Mateo County GOP, and I'm interested in redistricting.
If you had a magic wand, what would be the result of redistricting, Margie?
I have no comment.
This
Welcome,
is Marie.
nice to have you here.
Petra, this is Marie. I'm sorry, I still have my video down. I'm having trouble here, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to find my unmute when you call. But
That's okay, we'd love to hear from you.
My expectations, well, I'm here to learn. I want to see the progress, hear about the progress, what the needs of the commissions might be so far from the public. And I'm interested in the map drawing. I haven't experimented it with myself, so I'm glad you've made that a part of the process today. So the learning, a lot of learning this morning.
And Marie, why don't you tell everyone who doesn't know what organization you're with?
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed the very beginning. I'm Marie Baldessari. I am with the League of Women Voters of North and Central San Mateo County. We have the pleasure of working with the County Board of Board of Supervisors to help select the commissioners. And we're real proud of the work that we did and proud of the work that they're doing on behalf of the residents of San Mateo County. That's it.
Thanks, Marie. Lisa, do you want to go next?
Sure, thank you. I'm Lisa Hicks-Dumansky. I'm the Executive Director of the Redwood City Library Foundation. I am also a member of the Redwood City ARC, the Area Redistricting Commission for the district lines in Redwood City. And that's why I was really interested in this, because my magic wand would be that people would care. I mean, I thought running for local elected office showed apathy in our local civic engagement, but this redistricting process has been just a bear to get people to pay attention to. I mean, we have just done everything we can to try to engage the public, at least in Redwood City. And I can imagine what that same thing would be on county lines. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know if it's a pandemic. People are like, yeah, that's nice for you. Really, that's been the #1 response. It's really nice that you're doing that. And we're so glad that you're civic engaged. So I would love to know what Pam's magic wand would be. But I do think this makes a difference for all the reasons that Petra said in the very beginning. This matters. And I can see why it matters. When I was walking my own district and I would go down the block and whole apartment buildings would have not a single registered voters. And we know lots of reasons why that might be. So here's a process where they can have a voice, you know, and just trying to get people more involved that way is my magic wand. That's what I would love to see from redistricting, to make it really matter for people.
Margie?
Morning, everyone. I'm Margie Power. I am co-president of Leadership Council San Mateo County and also a new board member of Thrive, which I'm excited about. And I would say if I had a magic wand, I'd really like to see more diverse representation on the county board. We do have wonderful supervisors, but it would be great to have more voices represented. And I love everything you said, Pam, about a well-educated electorate, highly engaged, really seeking to understand. I think there may be some factors where there is, on the one hand, high trust of the process and the commissioners. So maybe people feel like on the one hand, they've got it. And then on the other, I worry that there are a lot of people that just don't really know what this means. And so want to make sure that we do reach those folks. And as you said, Petra, all the reasons why this is so important. So I'm here to educate myself. We are running a program with 39 senior leaders around the county, and we amplified this event to all of them. Hopefully you'll see them this afternoon, Petra, but also just happy to help get the word out. And so excited to learn more. Thank you. Oh, and I'll call on someone else. Let's see. Linda.
Linda's the only one left.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Linda Wolin. I'm a senior legislative aide for Supervisor Dave Pine. And given my role, I'll just be a little circumspect about my magic wand for redistricting. But I do want to say that the county and the community were so heavily invested in the Census 2020 efforts and in really ensuring that we had as best an accurate count as we could in the county. And we did phenomenally and have the highest response rate in the state, I believe. And that was a really, really big deal. And we got a lot of people engaged. And this is the follow-up. This is why we did that. And we wanted to make sure that the process, and it's not just for the county lines, but also, as Lisa said, for the different cities who are doing districting for the first time, some cities, or redistricting in some other cities. There's special districts, school districts. Everyone is working on it, and they're using the numbers that we generated during census. So this is the follow through. And then I'd echo everything that everybody said about civic participation, civic education, voter engagement, citizen engagement, all of it. It's a bit frustrating, I think, for everyone that there hasn't been more. And every little tidbit of public participation is so interesting, I think. Jim, I've attended all the meetings. I've been listening in, and it's just really interesting, the observations that the public are making and the commissioners are making. And that's my comment. Thank you.
How many of you have actually been on Districtor? Okay. So we know how we're being redundant, but I think one of the things that we were hoping to get out of this is some actual comments to submit. So we'll let everyone, submit their own, but let's take a look at the map and see if there's anything that jumps out. And Jim, actually, you could tell us, have you received anybody, any maps? Like, is anybody actually sending you maps, or are people just saying, hey, this is my community of interest?
We have received a few maps, less than 10 as of the last meeting, but we've received several comments. And I'd like to say that, the coast has been the most vocal district. We've received just a number from that particular part of the county. So we're concerned that, the rest of the county, as you see, are really not that engaged. So we're really trying to reach out to them via every form available and get their inputs.
Great. We just had somebody new join us, the person who's, there you go, now we have a picture of him. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Tom Weissler. I live in the city of San Mateo.
Great, welcome. And you're also part of the GOP?
I am.
Terrific. So just to catch you up, we're just about to look at some maps. We have Jim Lawrence here, who's the chair of the Redistricting Commission. And we're just going to throw it up there so everybody can see how to draw a map if you want to draw a map. And then we'll talk a little bit more about how to get things in. So actually, Yahaira is going to show you a fun way to get to this, which is we have on Thrive's page, if you go to our special initiatives, we have a whole page about redistricting. And if you go there, it's a quick link to a lot of the resources. So.
And then you click on the image here, and it takes you directly to the district R. We have other tools on there that people have recommended for redistricting. And then you scroll down and you pick the state, and then you pick that you want to look at the county. And you look for San Mateo County. Here you go. And now you're in the tool. And this is really the awesome part of this. It has a lot of cool features. If you pull up the district R and you go to data layers, you can find the current districts. And this is what it currently looks like. You can zoom in all the way in or zoom out. You can also draw with this feature here. You can draw, let's say, this district. Let's say you want to do all of this. You can fine tune your paint tool to make it as thick or as big as you like, or as small. Let's say you're doing little neighborhoods like this. There's a lot of cool features. It also tells you the population, total population. Let's see. So it has different variables such as race, ethnicity here. So we can do this, we could do, and it tells you how many people are located in that section that you've selected. You can also do different colors. Let's say you want to do another district here, right? You can do another color and it brings up that population. There's all kinds of cool features on this. Let's say you want to erase. You made a mistake and this is not part of your map that you want to do. You go to the erasing tool here. This map is also really easy to access. You can save it. It comes up with the link. Let's say you want to share with your friend. Let's say I want to send this map over to Margie, and so she can look at it and we're both on the same page. I'll copy the link, send it over. You can also download it to your computer, and then when you export it back, you can get that same map. There's a lot of cool features on here. It'd be helpful if everyone has the map and then we can all play with it together.
Is there a way to just separate the cities?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Is there a way to just separate the cities? Just have a map that shows the boundaries of each city?
Oh, let's see. I haven't seen that yet on here, but I know if you zoom in, it'll tell you. You can move it over and it'll tell you the cities here. Do you see this?
Right, I've done that, and I've looked at Google Maps, and the shape of our city is really weird, and
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's impossible to do it.
To separate it by cities?
Right, I'm a believer that each city should be in one superfactorial district. Right now, we have 5 cities that are in 2 superfactorial districts.
Mm. Yeah, I haven't seen that feature on this map. There's other tools as well that you can find on this page, but I haven't played with them much. What's easy about this one is it already tells you the districts. I know it's kind of harder to put in the cities as you were speaking of. Anybody have any questions as they're playing with their map?
Just in response to the gentleman's question regarding cities, that is a challenge that we're trying to address, and that, you know, certain cities are split, but the guidelines handed down by the federal government and state is, one, as you know, each district has to have an equal number of people, and then 2, you know, we get into the communities of interest. So that lends itself towards, you know, making sure that certain communities of interest stay together And at times they will break cities because if we take, certain cities, let's say South City and Daly City, there's communities of interest that may overlap in each city. And all those we have to take into account while we're trying to, again, maintain the overall guideline that there's, 150,000 plus people in each district. But that has come up as the number one concern, that certain cities, even certain neighborhoods are split district in one district and another district.
Well, I did attend one of the meetings or Zoom meetings, and there were a few people that did come up. One was the city councilman in Daly City who was concerned that, he said, I really want my city to stay in one superfactorial district. I know there's other considerations, but I think that having that as being able to have that in play makes a lot of sense to, that's not necessarily the solution, but there's a lot of common sense in keeping a city within one superfactorial district.
Yeah, I changed the where it says data layers, change it to population, so they can see, change the view over from at the top, move up. Instead of data layers or evaluation, use population. So one of the main things here is getting the population evenly sized.
Yeah, so this really tells you what number you want to hit in each district. So when you're playing with it with the different colors, you can see how to get to that number, that ideal. You can be as close. I know, Jim, you probably have some more background on how far away from that ideal number you can be.
Well, it's less than 10% deviation from one district to the other. So it really puts us in a box that, we have to stay within.
And that's one of the issues, like with South San Francisco, that the population is really large there. How to keep it makes it harder to keep it together.
Yes.
Right. And some of the cities is separated into districts, and that, if you were going to split that, I would try to keep cities in one district, and if that may not be possible, but some cities are in districts to keep their districts, within one superfactorial district. For example, like South San Francisco, I believe, has district, or say San Bruno has district elections, and they have four districts. So, if you've got two in one superfactorial district and two in another, to balance out the population, that makes sense.
Well, I can assure you that, we on the commission are wrestling with that and trying to, take that into consideration within the guidelines and, really try to address all those concerns because they are coming in.
I'd like to make a comment, if I may, about South San Mateo County, because Menlo Park is split. And in 2013, when the supervisors had to go to districts elections, that one of the issues with this end of the county was having like communities together. So if you look at that map, you have East Palo Alto, the Bellhaven neighborhood, and a little bit of Menlo Park to Middlefield, North Fair Oaks, and then Redwood City. And then in the other district where you have the rest of Menlo Park, as well as Atherton and Woodside and so forth, one of the comments was made is that you have the more wealthier community in one district. So there's more likely that you would have people voting, which is in the best interest for the majority of the group in that area. So I hope that helps.
Yeah.
I just want to bring up, oh, go ahead.
Well, both, Menlo Park and Redwood City, they do have district elections, and that would, it may make a lot of sense to take some of the districts in Menlo Park and Redwood City and keep them in one supervisorial district, and then put the other ones in another supervisorial district.
The one thing about Menlo Park is that the boundary on Middlefield Road actually puts a portion of District 3 with District 2 and 1 in the same county district. So and there was not districts elections for the city council in either Menlo Park or Redwood City at the time the original maps were drawn. So I'm just trying to say we have some different issues now. And I think just one thing to keep in mind is we don't need to just look a little, make little tiny changes. We can like throw out the whole map and start over too. There are lots of different options.
Yes, and I would encourage you to, certainly submit those comments to the commission for us to take them into consideration, because we're trying to look at it as a blank slate and start all over again. But again, we have to stay within the guidelines. And also, I like to remind everybody, the commission is advisory, so we will make recommendations to the board, but the final decision will rest with the existing board of directors.
I'm going to repost in the chat how to get your comments in. How do you participate for the people that entered the room a little later?
Margie, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I just have a couple of questions. For me, it's hard to kind of come in with a blank slate and immerse myself to the depth probably required to like actually add value. So I was wondering if Jim could share a little bit about some of the current thinking or some of the decisions they're grappling with right now, or are they just in the input phase? That's question one. And question two is, I'm wondering if there's someone who could share historically how they've shifted over time, the districts over the last, I don't know, several decades. If we know that information, maybe that's out there and I can go look that up. But I was just wondering, are they typically just tweaked, or are they, when was the last time there was a full reevaluation of them?
Let me address the first one first. Your first question, I think the commission is wrestling with is, one, we're trying to keep all communities of interest together, so all of Belhaven, Menlo Park, et cetera. Two, we're trying not to split cities. That's been one of the most vocal that we've heard. And then three, we're trying to keep, like, let's take the coast side, people with common values up and down the coast. We're trying to keep all of that together. And that's very, very difficult because we have to balance it to the ideal, which is 153,000. So that proves very, very difficult. As far as the history is concerned, we found out that the prior advisory commission did make recommendations to the board of supervisors, and the board of supervisors chose to redraw the maps in certain aspects to their own liking. And again, that's why we are advisory. We don't have the final say so. And that redraw, I understand, was split more cities than the commission back in 2012 or 13, whatever, had recommended. But it was to balance out so that we had the equal representation of 150 some odd thousand people in each district. So it's a push-pull, but we're really trying to see if we can minimize a split where at all possible.
And just historically, the first time that San Mateo County used by district elections was in 2013.
Yes.
So it didn't even happen at the last census. It happened after that in response to a lawsuit. So that's when it was, so it's only been once that San Mateo County has drawn district lines. And like Jim said, it was an advisory commission like it is this time. So once that map that the advisory commission came up with was given to the county, they made some changes. Does anybody know what those changes, you said the changes were mostly about not keeping cities together. Do you know any more details about that, Jim?
No, not really. We're trying to be open. We do know that there's, I think, 4 or 5 cities that were split. And, we're trying to minimize that. The current census still is challenging because we don't have the bodies in certain parts of the county. We have to balance it. As you know, the coast side doesn't have as many people. Some of the rural areas of the cities, San Carlos, Atherton, et cetera, they have very few people. So we have to really push people into those districts to balance out the overall districts.
Pam, did you still have your hand up? You're on mute. But you're taking your hand down.
I was taking my hand down. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, do you want to go ahead and do just kind of fill in things a little bit so people can see how the population.
Petra, can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
As part of the process, is the commission gonna, or maybe the question is, as we get closer, what is the process for saying, okay, here's some different options, option 1, option 2, option 3, everyone tell us which one you like best, or, is there a way to kind of see some alternatives and then react to them?
Yes, they are. And in the meetings, we will actually show the maps that we're considering and the impact that the maps have on splitting cities, splitting neighborhoods, et cetera. So we will probably have 1, 2, or 3 best choices, let's say. And then obviously the commission will have to vote on which map that we're going to submit to the Board of Supervisors. But each map that we will be considering in the final analysis will be public. There will be a public meeting and there will be discussion around that. As well as I will ask each commissioner to, give his or her reasons why they, would choose a certain map. So we all understand, the reasoning behind their vote.
Linda, where did that map come from that you did? Was this proposed by someone?
That's a map that Jim can speak to it too, but that's a map that the consultants, they came up with. So as Jim mentioned, there were a couple of maps submitted by the public, and then the consultants just did some, they basically were throwing spaghetti at a wall to show you if you made certain priorities, how the map would turn out. So that was one, since there had been so much interest in keeping cities together, they were basically just playing, they were using the tool.
Right.
And saying, if you keep cities together and you keep your population balance at the ideal, this is one way it could work. And in that particular example, it splits the coast. So that's just to kind of demonstrate. I'll let Jim finish that.
Yeah, and you're correct. And we asked them to come back to us, based on the rules of the game and say, what's the best or most likely alternative in order to achieve and stay within the rules. And that's what they had. There were examples for the commission to consider. And I can tell you that all of us commissioners are off, redrawing our own maps, trying to see and taking it into account. And we're going to bring it back to the next meeting. We'll have another lively discussion, and hopefully out of there, we'll pick, option A, B, or C until we finally get to the final date when we'll have to vote on which one we're going to submit.
And can you remind us again when that vote is, when your vote is before you present it to the?
It goes to the board early November. I think I'm gonna say, don't hold me to it, but the 12th, somewhere in the first week, 10 days, we have to submit to the Board of Supervisors. So we're real close to that date. We have a meeting next week. And then maybe there's a following meeting after then when we have to submit.
Linda, are there any other maps, or Jim, are there any other maps that you have from the, is there anybody else to share?
I would refer everybody to go to the district website. All the maps are housed there. Everything that's submitted, everything that's received from the public is housed there. Some of the commissioners have hand-drawn some maps, so they may not be there. I've been doing a hand-drawn map here, but I'm going to submit that one before the end of the week when I get it to balance. Right now, I'm totally out of balance, and that's one of the challenges. But all the input from the public and the maps to date are on the site.
I think it actually makes it easier when you see other options to think it through.
I believe at the next meeting, the map person, I forget her name, Christian Park, is going to present all the maps so that we'll be able to just kind of get a feel for what all the public is saying and then see which ones best fit the guidelines.
So the ones that say on that page, NDC maps, those are ones that were provided by the consultant.
Correct.
And the other ones are public input.
Yeah. And the NDC maps, again, are just for, discussion purposes. They're not the final draw or anything.
So Jim, on the website, it looks like the additional meetings haven't been scheduled yet.
There's one next Thursday, I believe, and then the following week, we're going to try to either meet next Thursday or Friday also, because following that, we have to submit to the district. We're into November at that time.
Okay, and that's probably at the same time next Thursday? It'll be
Yes.
at 6:30, okay.
Yes.
I think everyone's kind of deep into this, but we actually have two people who have jumped on since we started talking. Sue and Tim, do you guys want to just do a quick introduction of who you are? And the question that we asked everyone was, if you had a magic wand, what would you like to see? And what would be the result of redistricting? Tim, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I'm Tim Clark. I live in Portola Valley. I've been active with Thrive. I don't have a magic wand, so I'm just learning. Thank you.
Sue?
Yeah, hi. So I was very active in the last one. I can't get my video to work, sorry. Very active in 2013 and Pacifica as part of the coast definitely worked very hard, very hard to stay on the coast so that we weren't split. So that would be my magic wand, is to have, I was kind of alarmed to hear that one of the consultant maps splits the coast, and I don't know what that means. So I'm anxious about that. But I think I can understand where every city feels the same way. But the coast has coast issues, which are different from other issues. It's just as the Bayside has issues that the coast doesn't have, even though we have sea level rise issues that, they are sea level rise issues, but they're very different types.
Sue, can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
Currently the district that includes Daly City has some coastline, but it's kept with Daly City. Is that something that you're looking at?
No, because I'm a Pacifican, I let Daly City worry about itself. So, but yes,
Okay.
I was actually walking at Muscle Rock and the shoreline there, which is, so Daly City is really high up. The cliffs are high up. So yes, obviously they do have coastline because they're right there on the coast. But Pacifica is down, a large part of our city, the west side, is your beach. You're there. You can walk on the sand. For Daly City, I can't speak for the whole thing, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct. You have to really walk way down to get to the, but it by Muscle Rock, which is right where the two cities meet. There's a nice walking, right? And you're in, part of the time you're in Pacifica and part of the time you're in Daly City.
This is why we need people who are experts in their local area.
Yes.
Yeah, but your commercial, for example, your commercial areas are not by the coast in Daly City. If anybody's there to correct me, but we have commercial as well as residential and recreational things on the coast. So all about 9 miles of it, so. And when we did our city districting, which we just had our first election, when we did our city districting, we made sure that each of the 5 districts had coastline in their district so that everybody representing them, we would all understand that we would understand the shoreline issues as well as our hillside and skyline drive issues.
Great, and Yuhua put in how to, I'm sure you already know because you've been through this process before, but how to make sure to get that information to the commission.
I'm sorry, was that a question for me?
No, I was just saying that I'm sure you know how to get the information to the commission, but if not, we put it in the chat.
Yeah, no, I'm listening and yeah, so thank you.
So it kind of sounds like to me, it would be helpful to watch all of the meetings to better understand what each district is looking at before I make assumptions based on how I want my district to look.
And you could also just, you don't need to, nobody needs to do like a whole map. You can just say what's important to me, talk about your community of interest. What's important to me is my neighborhood being in with whoever. You don't need to say, I care about Pacifica and Daly City if I know nothing about it. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, was to show you that it's not daunting. You don't have to make decisions about the whole area. You can literally say, I want to make sure that me and the neighbors across the street are in the same district because that's important to me.
And that is correct. I mean, we hear that loud and clear from South City. They just want to make sure all of South City is in the same district, same as Daly City. So the more of those inputs we get, the more the commissioners will hear them, the more we'll be able to look at that and say, how do we accommodate this?
Lisa?
Yeah, I just want to second that this is the community input phase. This is the listening phase of redistricting. So we really want communities to tell us who the communities of interest are and their feelings about keeping cities together, keeping communities, neighborhoods together. And then the redistricting commissions will then take all that input and then apply all of the voter rights acts and all those other things to try to create new maps. But right now is the most important phase. We can't do our job unless we get community input.
Good. So
I would love to hear anyone else's ideas on how to continue to engage community in this process, because there is a finite, there's an expiration date of when we can accept community input. And then we go off and create maps and then take them to the legislative bodies who will ultimately approve them. So time's ticking away. And so how do we get that last push for the community to really tell us what they think? That's my question.
And we'll take input. Again, you can write it, you can email it. We have all the social media, we're reading those. So just please share your comments.
Linda?
Just following up on Lisa's comment, one thing that might make it, well, I don't know if easier, but just an interesting thing is because there are all these concurrent redistricting and districting efforts going on at the same time, to the extent that you or anyone belongs to a community of interest and knows how to define that community of interest, you can write it once in a paragraph or explain on a map or list intersections or barriers or whatever, put it in writing, and then you can submit it to all the different jurisdictions of which you are a part. So if you live, I'll call on Pam just because it's easier, but you live in Belhaven and you want to define the community of interest of Belhaven, that is a community of interest for the county redistricting process. It's a community of interest for Menlo Park's redistricting process. Whatever school district Pam is in, there's probably special district or Sequoia Healthcare District, whatever jurisdictions are currently undergoing redistricting, it's the same community of interest. I mean, maybe Pam would define it differently for some different jurisdictions, but in general, it's going to be the same. And so doing it once, you can have potentially multiple impacts of it. And maybe that's a little less intimidating for residents to just, so that they don't have, they're not overwhelmed with 5 different things. It's just an idea.
I'm going to be mindful of time because everybody schedules 1-hour meetings and then the next 1-hour meeting, the exact same second. So we'd love to give you all a 5-minute break. I'm hoping that this was helpful to everyone. I'm hoping that everyone is excited about going in there and giving their feedback. And I want to say a special thank you to Jim Lawrence, both for his work on a commission and for spending time with the community like this. And please let your friends know that we're going to be doing the exact same thing at 5:30 today. And we'd love to see your friends. We don't need to see you again, but we'd love to see your friends come if they want, because again, this is all about just demystifying the process. So